Hello, SSDPers. I'm really sorry I can't be there with you all today and for the weekend. I think it's the first time I haven't been to an SSDP national conference in many, many years, but you know, duty calls. It was essential for me to go to Ibiza in the Mediterranean for the World Ayahuasca Congress. I didn't really want to do it. I would have much preferred to be there with you, but you know how it is. So I appreciate the opportunity just to say a few words to you now about where we are, where the drug policy reform movement is, and where I think we're going. I mean, it's obviously a magical time. I mean, you know, if somebody had imagined just 5-10 years ago, I told you that we'd be where we are right now with Colorado and Washington and Uruguay and other initiatives on the ballot and public opinion on our side and even the White House being relatively good on these things, people would have thought you were, you know, smoking something weird or whatever. But in fact, we really do have this incredible momentum. Now, I am worried about the election. I mean, you look at a place like in Oregon where we're ahead in the polls, but it's really going to come down to whether young people show up to vote. Alaska is going to be neck and neck for marijuana legalization, same issue. Washington, D.C., where we got a quasi-legalization initiative on the ballot, same issue. It's all about whether young people are going to come out to vote for these things. So the first request I have for you, is in all these places and Florida and California, where there's another initiative not about marijuana but about reforming the sentencing laws, whatever you can do to drag your friends, to get people to get them to vote, that's the name of the game in this election. You know, I don't know if we're ever going to solve this dilemma of young people typically not coming out to vote in a non-presidential election year, but we better figure it out fast or else we're going to really have a problem. And I'll tell you, this election, I mean, I'm especially focused on Oregon because that's the one where people are sort of expecting it to win and where it's next to Washington State, it's Northwest, all of this. That's the one where if we don't win it, it's not going to kill us. I mean, we'll come back and we'll blame it all on young people not coming out to vote, and we'll come back and win in 2016. But it's going to make a big difference in terms of the national momentum. So I'm putting everything I possibly can into Oregon and trying to help in the others. You know, Florida, I'm hoping, I mean, all the polling showing that it's going to have more than 60% in favor. All the polls look good. But now in Florida, you need 60% of the vote to win a ballot initiative. So it's going to be neck and neck. I could see a chance where we get, 56, 57%. We win a big majority, but we don't actually win the election. And California, that's important. I mean, that's not about marijuana reform per se, but it will be perhaps the most significant sentencing reform initiative in the country. It reduces drug possession from a felony to a misdemeanor. So we'll see how all this goes. And a little PS here, Guam. Guam's going to vote on legalizing medical marijuana. And that's a story I'll tell you someday when I see you. So I think more broadly than that, the international stuff, when the Global Commission on Drug Policy came out in mid-September, early September, with that remarkable report, I mean, you got former presidents of Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Chile, Switzerland, Poland, Portugal. You have Paul Volcker, the former chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, George Shultz, the former Republican Secretary of more or less everything, Kofi Annan, the former head of the UN, Richard Branson, I mean, all coming out for a report, these incredibly distinguished folks, and basically saying, more or less, legally regulate almost all drugs. That was radical. And the sort of challenge it presents as we approach the United Nations General Assembly Special Session on drugs in 2016, our great opportunity for mobilizing and kind of waking up global opinion on this stuff, I think they provided a great sort of lead item for us. Now, I think, what else can I say to you at this moment? You all should know that I'm always looking to hire new fantastic people, so whoever the best of you is, I want you applying to work at DPA when you get out of college and doing everything we can. And the last thing I want to say is, for both SSDP and DPA, we're about not just marijuana reform, but ending the entire drug war. right? And that means that our challenge right now is, on the one hand, to make the most of sort of marijuana exceptionalism, to legalize marijuana in as many states as possible, to get Congress to move, to keep the ball moving down the field, to do it in a smart, responsible way, in an ethical way. And it's about not just ending prohibition, but also about promoting responsible values and norms around drug policy. But at the same time, we have to make sure that what we're doing on marijuana reform is not undercutting or being done in opposition to other drug policy reform. We have to always be looking for the synergies and for the ways in which our progress on marijuana reform can open up in other areas. In DC, we have the initiative going on in DC right now to sort of legalize marijuana, and it's all about the next step, which is about pushing for the broader decriminalization of drugs writ large, sort of the Portugal model in America. So it's that level of consciousness that we need to keep doing. Because remember also, we're at this unique place in American history, right, where the whole sort of intersection of libertarian thinking and a social justice framework is intersecting right where we live. We are the organizations, we are the movement. We're people who care about freedom and care about liberty, but also care about decency and caring about helping their fellow human being who's struggling, where that comes together in terms of drug policy, right? It's about addressing the racial injustice and the class-based imbalance of the way people are treated when they have drugs or a drug problem. That's us. That's DPA, that's SSDP, that's the growing drug policy reform movement. So, thanks for being here at the SSDP conference. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there with you. I'll see you all next year in DC at the International Drug Policy Reform Conference with SSDP as one of our partners in putting this stuff together. Thank you.